You know what? The bigger thing beyond that is I think that they also allowed for black wrestling fans to kind of have that relation. You know what I mean? Because there's one thing to have that, you're black, you have a certain stereotype linked to you. They had it themselves with the Nation of Domination. It's just proud, strong black men. They don't care for nothing but fucking people up. Then you have New Day, where it's just like, I mean, we'll fuck you up, but we'll play some games with you. We'll be at the cookout.
No,
We gonna chill.
that's most certainly true. Because
I
like,
think that's the biggest thing, the biggest thing that they brought to the table. Backstage Brawl, y'all already know what it is. It's your boy, Jean-Louis, a.k.a. the Golden Child, here with our usual suspects. We have Kid Ty, we have the People's Champion, and of course, as always, we have the Diamond Cutter bringing you the news of the week. It's Sunday afternoon. We hear episode 3-1. The G1 Climax is officially kaput, and there's a lot of controversy. Fellas, did you catch it? Did you watch it? How you feeling about it? Your thoughts?
I woke up early this morning for whatever reason. I was watching realized it was on. It was trending on Twitter, and I didn't know it was like the last night of the G1 Classic, so I decided to tune in, and I loved it. I love Kota Ibushi. I know you won it last year, but I thought they were gonna go. New Japan's kind of known to like embrace new stars every year to build new stars or build a star that hasn't been marketed enough. So to see Kota Ibushi as a repeat winner was kind of a refreshing change. And I'm not gonna lie, like when you watch New Japan, in a lot of ways, it's completely different from American professional wrestling. But you see why they're the biggest name in town when it comes to Japanese professional wrestling or in that market. Kota Ibushi has done a great job on his own since Kenny Omega came to America. Because last time, a couple of years back, he was basically in a tag team with him and Kenny Omega. So, as the Golden Lovers. So they've been doing their thing. But since Kenny departed and came to America, Kota's been flying on his own to the point where, like, you can actually see potential world champion for him. And I've been following Kota for the last probably like 4 or 5 years now, or 4 years now. So it's refreshing to see everything that he's done on every stage he's been in. And the fact that he's a back-to-back winner is great. SANADA had a great match as well. But there is some controversy to it, feeling that SANADA may have won in terms of how the pin may have happened, this and the third. But that's what makes, professional wrestling at its core is drama. So you want to, inside a story, and many people feel that SANADA won. But unfortunately, at the end of it all, Kota Ibushi is a back-to-back Climax winner of the G1 tournament. So we'll see what comes out of that. But for the most part, it was what you expect from a New Japan match. Hard hitting, a lot of technical, a lot of match style, strong hits, grapples, strikes, you name it. Sometimes
it was funny too because they had the post like UFC, like they had the total strikes and like the hits significant. They
I love that. It makes it more sports centric.
well, I mean, that's the thing. That's not to cut you off, Rand, but like in Japan, professional wrestling's approach, like every region kind of has a different approach to professional wrestling, and in Japan, it is very much treated like the sport that is supposed to be, down to the tail of the tapes, the press conferences they'd have, and that goes for all the promotions over there. So it's kind of expected, and the fact that they had such a controversy, because SANADA has been one of the guys everybody's looking to be the next up in the past couple years, and you also have Kota, who I'm gonna be honest, first back-to-back winner since Hiroyoshi Tenzan in 2003, 2004. Really cool, but part of me really wanted SANADA to win. The fact that they put that in there was pretty cool because it gives SANADA something to work off of, as Randy said, like make it seem as though he could win so that you can kind of build to a bigger story down the road. Kota should have won the belt last year, not Naito. I feel like Naito should have been the year before, and I feel like because of the Okada stuff, they keep pushing it back every single year, but it should have been Kota's year last year. Are they going to finally do it this year? That's the real question. Are they finally going to give Kota what he deserves? Because this man is in the best shape of his career.
Yeah,
And
which is saying something.
Yes, and his moveset is in its most veteran state it could possibly be right now. Like this is the prime. I don't know if you could say it's prime Kota, but mentality wise, it feels like it's prime Kota. So that's the hope that they finally give him what he deserves.
Yeah, it's like he's one of those timeless wrestlers where you think like he pops in and he's like 30, 29, 30 forever. You know, he's damn near pushing 40, and he's kind of that prime stage of his career. So it's a lot of those people who are like, you know, you see the Orton, you know, in WWE. Daniel Bryan has followed that suit as well, being, you know, an early 80s baby. You see it over there with Kota Ibushi, where it's like your moveset is timeless. You're hitting it at the right stride. You know, it's kind of like I like to call it the Chris Jericho rebirth, where Chris Jericho had that.
I wouldn't even say Jericho. I think that for American fans, if there's any person they'd probably compare to Kota Ibushi, it's probably Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
If you think about a clear-cut comparison, Kota Ibushi is like at least to the American fans. I don't know about the Japanese fans; they'll probably kill me for that, even though RVD is awesome. But he, to a T, from the kicking background, the crazy athleticism and creativity, the high flying ability, his crazy moves. I think the only thing Kota Ibushi has over RVD is that RVD doesn't have a standing finishing maneuver. A lot of his stuff takes place in the air.
I'll say like the only like to clarify, like it was in relation to like whatchamacallit, like not how their styles are, but like that rebirth in like moveset and style. And you know, because Jericho, it was like, oh, the mid 30s Jericho, you were like, all right, he's kind of Ayatollah. And then once he hits like slow, methodical Jericho, it was kind of like he was a brand new guy. Kota Ibushi, I feel like, is emanating that same thing, where it's not like he's entering this chapter in his career where anybody else, this would probably be their most prime formidable years, and his prime formidable years comes at that stage of his career. Big E, I know you got some thoughts on this, brother. What say you?
Oh man, this was I didn't get to see the whole match. I didn't get to see any of it actually. But I will take a look at it later on today. I did see the controversy that People's Champ was definitely talking about with the roll up. The roll up was definitely 3. A lot of people, you know, feel like it. A lot of people feel differently. See, a lot of people feel like it was 2.
And that's what makes it fun.
This is what makes it fun. I would love to see a program between Ibushi and SANADA going towards maybe the title, because now there's really no clear-cut winner. I mean, yeah, there's a clear-cut winner in Ibushi saying that, yeah, you won the G1. But then let's look at the tape. The tape says that.
I don't know if Sanada's going to win that. I know his skull end finisher is a dragon sleeper, and that revolves around neck, and it's been scientifically proven that Kota Ibushi does not have a neck. I knew where I
was going, bro.
This man has a bionic neck for real, bro.
Yo, man, look. Have you seen it? He pulls up. Like, remember we were talking about early in the year with Randy Orton when you look on it? It's Kota Ibushi's neck is like that on the regular.
He's Mr. Fantastic, bro. Like, there's no real way you can't. He's Rubber Band Man, bro. Like, there's nothing you can do.
Hold on. I forgot to catch this. You talking about neck. Strong neck.
Next topic.
Shout out to Kurt Angle, strong neck. You know, but you know, G1, not to be outdone, of course, SmackDown had its its premiere show, the season opener, so to speak, even though, you know, SmackDown and Raw have been doing their thing on a weekly basis. This is their first official week with the new brand, like the new roster. And you saw at the start of the show, everyone kind of line up on some assembly line BS, but honestly, everything after that, I would probably say that, you know, it was a pretty dope episode. Of course, you had the New Day situation. You had the continuation of Roman and Jay. You had the contract signing between Bayley and Sasha. You had the Street Profits. Guys, biggest takeaways from Friday Night SmackDown.
Jay Uso is a star. No
Talk
matter
about
how
it.
you
Talk
slice
about it,
it,
Biggie.
no
Talk
matter
about
how
it.
you slice it, let's get into this right now.
Talk
See,
about it.
He done fixed his position in his chair.
yeah,
He's
I
serious.
had to, because there's always people in this industry that get a chance at the world title scene and get inserted, and we all look at it and be like, why are they in this spot? Or it's like, or sometimes in this rare situation, we'll be like, okay, I see why it makes sense. I see why you're going this route. But then there's that one special person that we all universally kind of agree on, but knocks it out the park. That's Jey Uso right now. Jey Uso is showing you why he deserves to be even considered to be in the main title picture. This man is telling stories after stories after stories. We've been captivated by what he's been doing since basically Clash of Champions. Since Clash of Champions, well, Night of Champions, Clash of Champions, whatever. We saw what he could do in the ring as far as the storytelling goes. Him and Roman really didn't get physical until it almost led up to the match. Now it's more of, I'm going to strike first. I'm going to show you. I'm gonna do the same things that you did to me. Basically, Roman turned his back on Jey Uso. He was just in the middle of the ring after the match. He killed Strowman, by the way. But I just wanted to put that out there. He killed Strowman. He killed Strowman.
What else is new with that
Strowman,
program?
They
for real?
was like, oh, Strowman's going to Raw. Let's just kill him off. Nah, whatever. He'll show up on Raw on Monday and like nothing happened. But anyway, Roman literally turned his back on some Seth Rollins, sacrifice me. If you're going to strike. If you're going to hit me, go for the head. And Jey Uso thought about it for a minute. And he was like, you know what? I ain't going to do it. That's my thing. Turn around, and the next thing you know, super kick. And it was just like, if you're going for Jey Uso in this feud, it was just so great to see that. It just filled you with joy. And then to add insult to injury, he's sitting there telling him like, yo, I love you, love me? I love you too. And he's just hitting him with the chair. Like, it's just great. It's great. It's been great TV. I think this is probably one of the best feuds we've had, I would say, in a little while.
You know what's unique
since
about
Mania.
Yeah, you know what's unique about this feud, and like this, I think that this is probably one of the more underlying special ways you could describe how a feud is good on so many different levels and it's clicking on all cylinders. We're not concerned with who's carrying who. We're concerned with the story. We're concerned about just watching the story for what it is. And for us to see even the great ones, like earlier this year, we saw Randy Orton versus Edge, and we were still concerned, like certain people are still concerned with, oh, well, Edge, he may have been carried because he's just coming back in, or Orton, it needs to be carried for the, like, Orton haters, he needs to be carried, or even, a Dominic versus a Seth. This one, we don't care. And I think that's what's special. Everyone's feeding off of they're both feeding off of the emotion and the in-ring intellect that they've been building upon for over a decade. So,
and to be honest, it's probably one of the most compelling sibling or family-related feuds that WWE's had, period. And the reason why is because you genuinely get the sense that both guys are on a somewhat equal footing. Like when you look back at some of the recent family feuds in WWE history, you could tell there was a huge pecking order between the two, like where they were on the pyramid. Like if you look at something like an Eddie and Chavo, you knew damn well in your heart Chavo had no chance of really surpassing Eddie in popularity or being on his level. Even in a situation where it was a little bit closer, but not quite in the sense of Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy about 10 years ago, actually a little bit over 10 years ago. Like as popular as Matt had, especially when he was on his own on SmackDown, ironically, he still could never reach Jeff Hardy's level of popularity once Jeff was in that world title picture. So to see someone like Jey Uso, again, like I said weeks ago, killing it, like everyone's been saying, killing it and not just taking the opportunity, but like, if y'all screw this up, you cannot deny that I did everything that I could and that I was that dude. even if this is his last opportunity, the fact that he's just knocking it out of the park as he is, and Jimmy ain't even in it yet.
No,
Like,
I was just about to say that too.
Because, like, here's the thing. Y'all
Nowhere
act
near.
like this could be the end. If Jimmy were to get healthy, I feel like Jimmy in this spot would have done the exact same thing. I think it's just like we said before, because Jay never really gets a chance to show this, it's even more profound. But, like, both of these guys could do it. Like, both of these guys could prove it. And with the way that WWE recently has been using tag units like New Day to be part of single storylines while being in the unit again, I would love to see one of these guys get a singles chip of some kind, even if it isn't the world championship, because
Absolutely.
they deserve it, especially with the handicap of being twins, let alone just being a tag team.
And you know, you talk about basically being in a single storyline as it pertains to the tag team champs. Big E, one of your favorite, you know, units with your favorite star, Undisputed Era, just had Kyle O'Reilly a part of arguably the best match of 2020. So, like, you know, there's a lot of cool elements of just where it's like, yo, there's some good storytelling embedded in those like
They
tag.
really SVR06 GM mode that they put
That's
on the best match of the pay-per-view, and now they both out. It's just sitting there.
Yo, I got.
Like, they fatigue went
That's
over
a
5.
fact, bro.
They fatigue went over. They like
well
they,
over 5.
woo.
No, man, that's what happens
Yo,
when you book them in hardcore matches in steel cage every week.
but it was a regular ass match. Like
And
they were,
it's-
it's like they both came in with no fatigue. Both came out with 10 out of 10 fatigue. Ah, shit. Finn got a separated jaw in 2 places. I didn't even know you had 2 places in your jaw. Man, Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know if I saw him on NXT, but like I remember on the episode right afterwards, it was just a promo. All I saw of him on the episode that I can remember was just him in the promo being like, you know, Balor
He wasn't. That's it. Like he wasn't like really showcased.
Yeah.
It was just answering from the attacks that happened at NXT 31.
Yeah.
yeah. But
my other, before we move on, my other biggest takeaway too, I was a little worried about the Seth Rollins thing. I really was. I still am. But if they're gonna do this, if they're gonna do a Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan feud, I am all for it. Keep the Mysterios away. I wouldn't mind if they put the Mysterios in the tag division, but keep
that would be nice.
them away from Seth. Keep Murphy away from Seth. Well, you can put Murphy with Seth, I guess. That's fine. But Seth and Daniel Bryan, I'm all for it.
No,
so
I'm not falling for this again. No.
Go ahead, Ty.
Nah, because they did this with AJ, and everybody thought this was a great idea. No, you got to sell me more on this. Because first of all,
for the greater good,
put your head back in front of the light so we can see your face.
No.
Listen,
we need a
no.
cute.
I'm gonna be that guy. All right, look.
I haven't done this in a while.
I said, put your face back in the light so we can see your face. Look, I refuse to accept this unless there's more for Seth to do. Now, obviously, they can come up with plans as we go. But, like, my thing is, like, I don't like when you move somebody over just for one specific program. I didn't fall for this when it first happened, but I told people, yo, AJ moving to Raw is a bad idea. Back at the time when AJ moved the first time, I said it. Him moving to Raw was a bad idea because
But I think we all knew that, though.
But here's the thing. Nobody believed me. Everyone I talked to, when I said AJ moving over to Raw was a bad idea, and they were like, but Seth, and I was like, we could literally build to Survivor Series with this.
Mm-hmm.
Have a one-off match, and we never have to worry about. We don't need a feud. We all want a match, right? Y'all just want a one-off match. All we need is the one-off match. Survivor Series. Seth was Universal Champion. It's not as though AJ couldn't have found his way to becoming champion, or they could have had a brand versus brand even without the belts, right? All y'all wanted was the match. You moved AJ over to the match, and that man did not do shit. Now, don't bring up the Cedric shit, okay? Don't bring up the Cedric shit, because he literally could have done that on SmackDown.
Could have.
Cedric could have been moved over.
What's even like, you know, more painful, that everyone kind of got the match instead, that they didn't think that they would ever get the dream match of Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, and it got the same appeal to which Kid Ty is saying.
And it worked perfectly.
Exactly, in comparison to the Rollins and
that match was built up for years.
And here we come. And here it comes again.
Brock Lesnar match.
Here we come again. Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan once again face to face, because they did have a match a couple years ago when Seth was first in the Authority and Bryan was on his way out. This was around the time where Bryan was about to be Intercontinental Champion and all that. My point being is, like, I would love this match. The curb stomp to the head thing is still going to make me cringe because of the past history, but we could work that into the story minus the death. My point being is, like, if this is all they got, put him back on Raw. Put him back. I don't want to see this happen again with this time Seth as the sacrificial lamb switching shows, okay? Because AJ literally switched the shows 3 times this year.
Yeah.
And I don't want it no more.
Technically 4. I mean, Taker's a show in and of itself.
What?
So
Wait, what?
Hey, listen.
That
Taker. Exactly.
That shit's purple.
Did you see the promo that Taker did? Do we have to cue it? Just like, he was backstage.
I don't want to see that promo unless it's the real official version, not the network version. I want the version with Ether in the background. Yeah. That's what actually happened. That's what actually was playing when it happened.
No, but yeah, like I want to we're going to revisit this clearly because, but 2 months time, it's going to be one of those things where it's just like Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan. Accused Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents. What can possibly go wrong? And then it just like ends up.
What they need to be doing, and I hope they do, is Bryan and Zayn, because that's the real built-in story that needs to happen.
Continuity-wise, yeah.
Champion again. So he did say, listen, like him coming back now, the first goal is to become Intercontinental Champion. He's Intercontinental Champion.
Can you bring back the white belt, please?
Yeah,
I had this whole discussion with my friend.
Just blow the damn title strap.
No, look, here's the thing. This is a side note. I'm sorry, Jay. This is you and Rand's show, but I have to bring it up. WWE in the past year period replaced 2 championships who, for all intents and purposes, did not need their designs changed. And we still have these fucking nickels as tag team titles. I just want to go on record and say these belts have had the same template for 10 years. These belts have been in need of an overhaul for 10 years with slight glimpses of hope. And they switched those belts instead of these fucking nickels.
You know what's fucked up?
That evolved from pennies?
You know what's fucked up? They've switched the NXT title 3 times in the last 6 years. And all the renditions are still fire of those tag team titles.
Yeah.
Although I will admit, now I do see what people say when they say the original NXT title looked like an accordion.
Yeah.
a dope ass accordion.
Yeah.
But I get it now. I get it.
Yeah, no. No, I definitely did. I mean, there's a couple people who wore that thing well. You have the Bo Dallases of the world. You have your Nevilles of the world. So shouts out to that. But yeah, agreed 100% with the Seth Rollins move. In regards to the promo in and of itself, it was quite interesting to see them continuing the storyline, but in a way that they woven in that little piece, that little speck that was Daniel Bryan. Another thing that was polarizing on the show was the contract signing, of which Bayley did not sign the contract. She was like, I'm just up out of here. Like, I'm tired. You talking all this nonsense. And Sasha was just like, yo, listen, I was the one who dug you out of the grave of NXT. And you out here trying to, you trying to come at me. And, now you have that whole situation, coming to a head at Hell in a Cell. With everything going on with them, how do you guys see this playing out moving forward? Hell in a Cell and beyond, because we all anticipated this to be a WrestleMania program. Are we still following the thing of this basically writing somebody off at Hell in a Cell to return to this at some point at WrestleMania season?
I mean, I think it's still that way. But and I love me some Pamela.
I'm gonna pull up Hell in a Cell match card real quick.
She looked scared Friday. She didn't look bothered to walk out. She looked legitimately scared to sign that contract because I believe Sasha has an experience in the Hell in a Cell, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
So she's legitimately scared to go into the Satan structure.
How much is she selling the injury now? I didn't see the brace this time
Sasha?
around.
She took the brace off probably about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Like,
So,
like 2 weeks in, and she's been wearing like she Friday night she was looking. Whew.
All right, let's keep it professional here.
By the way, Backstage Brawl, if you're wondering who's going to be posting all them Insta thotties, there's the hey.
What? You know, she was
Point being, we have she good stuff. However, it does kind of break my original prediction of like, Sasha going in. Like, it kind of fits, but doesn't. Like I said, Sasha was going to go in hurt, and that Sasha was going to basically like, go in not 100%. It still could be the case, although Sasha's not wearing you don't have to wear the brace to sell the injury per se, but considering she had it consistently for a while, I thought she would. I think there's still a chance that Bayley injures her in the cell. Like, Sasha reaps what she sows. She came back too early and gets hurt in the cell. But at this point, they always could scrap it as a Mania program. I honestly don't know how to gauge it, because we shouldn't have to know how to gauge it. Like, we should just be able to let it roll the way let it unfold the way it should. But if you wanted to take a prediction, considering how much stock they put into it as being a Mania feud, this would be the perfect time to put Sasha off and possibly have her come back at the Rumble, like we've kind of all alluded to. Mm-hmm. So it's a dead even 50-50 on this one.
I agree with that. The best thing to do in this situation, like Tyler said, you don't got to sell the injury. You can legit have Bayley just come in there and be the most heel of heelish she's been, which is basically have her come in there, re-injure the neck, have her, just Sasha came back too early, get that sympathy, and then write her off TV, have her come back for the Rumble, still kind of selling the injury a little bit, and have her win the Rumble.
And if Sasha brought up the fact that like she's the reason why Bayley's constantly in these like top level positions, right? Then it would be poetic justice for Sasha to be what brings out Bayley's meanest streak. If right. Bayley were to have a little bit of a character transformation where she gets more aggressive now, especially considering she's still the champion, she has to keep hold of this for a while, right? If Sasha brings out a side of Bayley that nobody knew, including Bayley had, in the cell, and that's what cost Sasha a couple months for a career, I think that's very fitting, if anything.
Yeah, most def. I mean, for all intents and purposes, like it is definitely a big match that a lot of people are anticipating. I was following many, like initially on Friday, I wasn't able to catch the whole entire show. So watching the review and then watching the show like in its entirety, I saw like a lot of people saying like they want this match to main event. So if they want this match to main event, then we should expect something big for it. I'm not saying that it should. We could discuss that, leading up to Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
But it's just
the card's not even complete yet.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that we're gonna have to table. But I do want to end off the touching on SmackDown, and we'll probably end off the entirety of episode 3-1 with this, the New Day's segment. It did open it opened in regards to like what was going on in the program after you had the Lars Sullivan, Jeff Hardy. We ain't gonna get into that, but
ain't nobody care.
We don't get into the.
I care about Jeff Hardy's health.
I don't care about Lars Sullivan.
Like I want him to live. I want him to walk. I want him to feel healthy as he can, considering his injuries. I still want him to jump off of things. So that's okay.
You just want to see him die on your own expense.
I don't know.
No, I don't want to see him die. If he's going to stop saying you're going to stop doing things and then agree to swanton and apron. That's all I'm saying. Like, you can't have it both ways. Literally said, I don't know if I could do these swantons anymore. In the match with Shinsuke, just gave up his whole back for the match. Then wants to belly flop off a cell. And then nigga still limping from Night of Champions. Clash of Night
both
Champions.
Clash of Night of Champions.
but New
Clash of Harlem Nights.
Speaking of Harlem Nights, a couple of black brothers, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, they had their whole little monologue at the start. was a little emotional. Again, you know, we got a little tear shed. Got a little tear shed. You know, everyone talking about their families and how they've grown over the course of the years. How
He
Kofi
said,
Kingston
you got
was
me crying before this match, bro. Kofi constantly crying.
Yo, Kofi, that was genuine tears from Kofi, man.
He was like, I'm dead ass. I was dead ass about to retire, bro. I was dead ass about to go back to Boston and just rock out. But hey, you know, I was with you guys. You know, Xavier Woods. I was about to say Austin Creed, but Xavier Woods did his thing, you know, and he was basically saying this speech. I think he was about to cry himself. He called him.
He cried. No,
He cried.
Biggie, you know, kind of just holding the fort down, and then once they started talking about family, he just went back into character, and he was like, "Ain't nobody care about that." But you know, they had the whole match, and while yes, you know, the New Day are Raw tag team, and while yes, Sheamus is now Raw bound, they had this kind of dynamic which was really, really special. The Sheamus and Cesaro dynamic of who the New Day were rivaling against over the course of the years, and also a rival that they just started brewing along with, adding that Shinsuke Nakamura element along with Cesaro. So how did you guys like that whole program, that whole segment, and the ensuing match?
I wish Sheamus were in the Artist Collective.
Facts. No, he would actually complete it. But man, like it was an emotional match.
Oh.
Like for real, like watching it back, because like I didn't watch the show live. So watching it as I did, I like the ode to the bar. I like how they did that. That was really cool. That was a great callback. I like the fact that they did their tag team finishers with both the bar and the Artist Collective. That was good too. New Day basically pulled out all the stops. Biggie, who was always one of the best hot taggers ever, to me at least. So he did his thing. There's a lot of it was a great tag team match. The elements were there. The storytelling was great. The emotions before and after the match were just crazy because you know now you're going separate ways. Like there's a saying, you know, nothing gold can stay. And New Day, when it first launched, no one really gave it, you know, that backing or cared for it. They thought, you know, is it going to be NOD, you know, part 2? And then when it was, I was like, this sucks. But as a fan of me, I wanted to see the bright side of it and see if they can continue with it. You know, after year 1 in 2014, by the time 2015 came, by the time SummerSlam came, they were the hottest team on television.
They better thank New York in that Hall of Fame speech.
That's true. Because the way they berated New York in the promo at SummerSlam.
And they still got cheered. Still got cheered. Like,
it's a rarity.
The hottest thing in Brooklyn that summer.
It was such a rarity to see what they did. And then when they were tag team with Seth at the time, when they used to do 8-man tags, like that was a dope time. They all wore white. You know, Seth came out as a White Ranger. They came out as, you know, they came out, you know, in a certain fashion as well for DBZ, so cosplaying and stuff like that. They brought a uniqueness to WWE, and their contributions are very subtle. From people cosplaying, no one was doing that before the New Day, especially in WWE. They made
Xavier himself.
I said in the current time. I'm not saying you know never. You know, you see Johnny Gargano with his stuff. His his
rain
X-Men
check
stuff.
on that.
Over.
Put a rain check on that. I gotta fact check that.
I feel like a bunch of them. Kofi.
They were. Oh yeah, right. But they were influential. You know, especially when the video games. You know, in terms of the video game channels and what Xavier up, down, and now
except for that OG Shelton.
You know what the bigger thing beyond that is I think that they also allowed for black wrestling fans to kind of have that relation. You know what I mean? Because there's one thing to have that, you know, you're black, you have a certain stereotype linked to you. They had it themselves with the Nation of Domination. You know, it's just proud, strong black men. They don't care for nothing but fucking people up. Then you have New Day, where it's just like, I mean, we'll fuck you up, but we'll play some games with you. We'll be at the cookout. We gonna chill.
That's most certainly true. Because
I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest thing that they brought to the table.
Like how many different like black professional wrestling acts have we seen over the years either be ruined by inconsistency in their push, or ruined by management not really seeing what they had in front of them, or there's this added caveat of like, oh well, you can take the blackness away, as in the case of like The Rock, when people say like, oh well, we can't, well you are but you're not, like it's very rare that you have so much certainty with that. And there was even a point in time where like we were all calling for New Day to be broken up. There were times where people would say like, it's not New Day, it's Coon Day, because they didn't see what was in front of them. The fact that like these guys, yes, they can laugh, they're fooling around, they're dancing, they can be silly, but it's not that doesn't define them as all they can do. They're very talented, they're very versatile, they have a lot of variety to their act, and you see that still reigning true with Big E's singles push coming up, even though the rumors that he's going to get a little bit more serious. But even so, like the fact that New Day was able to do that, the fact that I think they broke the record for most tag team championships past Edge and Christian, and now they've gone on to the Dudleys record. The fact that they have to be the greatest users of the Freebird rule since the Freebirds at this point, because seriously, Xavier's winning championships on his couch. So like,
you can't get any better than that.
Yeah, word, man.
You're right. You're right.
It's like, I just won another championship. All right, cool.
It's like extra paycheck.
Like the fact that I felt a lot of what they said in the promo. Like, out of all three of them, they even alluded to it with the weak link storyline. Xavier Woods had no like business being on TV the way that he was in such a prominent role by WWE's pecking order, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, his height would have been the team with R-Truth, with the Funkadactyls. So the fact that he was able to not only become one of the main players for WWE, one of the better and more underappreciated mic workers in WWE, and he took that role and was able to turn it into something special is awesome for him. And it's not even over yet for him. Who knows? Maybe he'll get his singles run. I mean, he's probably due for it now because Big E's got his. Kofi has had multiple at this point. The fact that Kofi admitted that he almost retired, and you can't really blame the guy because for 11 years, he had basically been stuck in the quintessential mid-card hell, where you could do as great as you can, but if the company really has no intent on pushing you, you're just stuck where you are. He was the modern day Ricky Steamboat in a similar way to how Rey Mysterio was the modern day Ricky Steamboat outside of his world title run, right? Where it was just like you wanted to see him win it big in the WWE, but the best he'd get are secondary championships. He already had, which is hilarious. I wonder if Kofi beat Edge's record for most individual tag team championships, because this man already had like 5 tag team title reigns prior to New Day.
Yeah.
And that just shows how long he was stuck there.
I think also on top of that with Kofi is like, there's something, especially with the whole retirement angle, there's something with wrestlers and of course, like I have my opinions about the whole, like I'm a big Dolph Ziggler fan. I'll root for him in regards to comparing him to like legends of yesteryear. And my main argument is, the fact that he's still suspended in this like, echo chamber of mid-card hell, so to speak. It dwindles his image in a way where it's like if it was a 5-year career full of that, then it's good. But if it goes on and on and on, and if you're in that cycle, people get so used to
where
it.
You still feel like he hasn't peaked yet. Like you feel that with people like Bobby, like for example, Bobby Roode now. Like Bobby Roode still feels like he's in the same place he was in 2018.
And I say that because like with Kofi, like you can understand, like when he said that, it was like, yeah, I understand that. I understand where you were coming from because 2009 was your time. And unfortunately, you caught Randy Orton at a bad year and a bad time. And it wasn't a situation in the powers that be as well, because it wasn't just Randy Orton. People kind of gloss over that as well. But it's like, because off of that, you get into that echo chamber of Ziggler versus Kingston. And both of these stars are kind of suspended in this quicksand. They're running in this quicksand. They're not going anywhere. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of wrestlers, while they would have been kind of being like, yo, we're losing the hand. We don't know why you're like leaving. Well, like we're sad that you're leaving, but we understand. And instead he kept on chugging and he took a deficit and made it into a surplus by joining a situation with two people who were relatively new to the roster, and then became the biggest act in the company, to the point of which he hosted one of the biggest WrestleManias in history. So,
and it's an inspiration on all fronts, because without the New Day, Kofi would have, as he said, retired, but he would have never became world champion.
exactly.
Without the New Day, Big E probably would not be in this position that he. Although I will say he was fairly over when he did go singles, splitting from Ziggler and AJ Lee, but now he has all this big match experience and knowledge to go with it, to add to the fact that he's so young and he still can do this for the next 10, 15 years, you know, barring injury. The fact that like them being split up adds more, in video game terms, replay value. It adds more substance to the New Day, because eventually they're going to have to come back, and they're going to have to come back as a group. The fact that, you know, I'm not going to besmirch the New Day, but I will say some of these title reigns are bullshit, and I blame WWE Creative. However, I think one of the legacies of the New Day that people are not going to realize now, but they will realize probably 20 years from now, is the fact that New Day definitely put to bed the whole notion that you have to break up to succeed. The fact that as a group, whether it's a tag team or a stable, WWE has instilled it in fans to the point where their babies coming out the womb saying, Marty Jannetty, like you have to break up the group in order for one of them to succeed, or that not everyone can eat at the table. And we all have our favorite tag teams, and we all have our favorite tag teams where there is a star who deserved better in the group and had just as much potential as the chosen of the group to go on to do great things. There's still people who like Billy Gunn in 2020. The point being, New Day showed that you can keep them as a group. Yes, there were times where creative was stagnant and we called for them to break up, and rightfully so, because they didn't give them anything. But the fact that they were able to persevere as long as they did and make something out of nothing, which is the main theme of the New Day. They made something out of something that shouldn't have worked. That is an overall inspirational thing beyond the ropes.
Not only that. Let's even go back 6 years ago when Xavier cut that promo. Not even when Xavier cut that promo. When Big E and Kofi Kingston were actually getting showcased on Raw and they were having losing streaks, and Xavier kept coming out to the ring. That whole dynamic of them first iterating as a group, just like
or teaming on main event.
Or teaming on main event, just like to JJ's point. They were supposed to be, you know, again, the stereotypical stable team in WWE as three black men. Strong, independent, don't need nobody.
Bad sitcom.
Right.
Three
That's
black
what
men.
it sounded like. That's what it sounded like.
Mm.
And then when they scraped it and started doing the vignettes of, you know, the whole choir in the background and them clapping and them testifying, a lot of people, especially amongst the black community that watch wrestling, was like, "Oh, what the fuck is this? Like, you can't get down with this." Then when they saw them come out,
I can't get jiggy with this shit.
I'll admit it.
I can't get jiggy with this shit.
I'll admit it. I was one of them, like, yo, what kind of coon stuff is this? But then once you saw the characters come out and you saw how they were being portrayed and you saw the matches they were having and the move sets that they've built over the years and the personality that they've shown between the three of them.
Think about some of those matches, the Fatal 4-Way ladder match.
They've had classic matches.
Yeah.
Matches
First
that
tag
still
team
watch to this
elimination
day.
chamber.
Not just classic matches.
First tag
classic
team Hell in a
moments.
Cell.
First tag team elimination chamber.
They've
The
had
Hell in a
classic
Cell
moments.
match with the Usos.
This is like some 90s 2000s wrestler type shit that they're doing, and off of that alone, the fact that they made all those stereotypes work, like that's like shades of like what Jay brought up like episodes ago with Eddie Guerrero, or like off conversations like that.
They even made like this is not one of their strongest matches, but when they were going up against the League of Nations, they even made them look good, and most of those guys don't even work there anymore.
I still wish they would have had a real feud with the Dudleys. Fuck you, WWE Creative.
Yeah,
Pieces
that
of
was
shit.
Yeah,
Pieces of shit.
But they for the most part, this was
No, actually, fuck
six.
Vince. Not creative.
This was a 6, almost 7 year run of a team that just like we all can agree on. Most guys they would have been cut. Big E probably would have been the only person still around, but Kofi would have probably retired. Xavier probably would have been released, and Big E would have been the only person by himself. And then eventually Big E would have probably been released, or he probably would have left. So these are three guys who really aren't supposed to be in WWE, and now we can honestly say Kofi Kingston has been WWE champion. Xavier Woods, being that he's had the opportunity, he's one of the most underrated on the mic, and then not only that in the ring,
the possible future king of the ring.
You know what?
And can make his own character. He's like probably the most charismatic out of all three of them.
Sign him G4.
I'll say this much in general. They went from like people who were undesirables to, I believe, a certified WWE Hall of Famers. So
and I was a huge advocate for Big E when he first came up. Yeah. I didn't like him with Ziggler. But once he went out on his own, I didn't like him with Ziggler only because it was more him with AJ. It wasn't necessarily with Ziggler. It was just by association. Yeah. You know what it was though? It's like this. Yeah. It's social media. Because if you followed him on social media during that time, he was basically what he's doing right now on the New Day. He was really playful. He joked around and everything. But on SmackDown, he was
angry.
For those who don't know, basically Malcolm Bivens' Twitter, Big E was doing that well before.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So it's just basically it was a tale of two tapes. So I saw personality in Big E that most people didn't see. Even I read on Bleacher Report when they were talking about that. They was like, oh, Big E was probably the one with the least personality out of the three of them. I personally don't agree with that. That's just my opinion. I don't agree with everything Bleacher Report says.
Kofi didn't talk.
Kofi didn't say a word throughout the New Day. But
Wildcat! Woo!
No, that was fire. Wildcat Kofi was fire. Don't even.
I'm not going shit on it. It's just that promo was funny.
But you know what's funny about the New Day and what's great about them?
Yeah,
is that their personalities and the things that they say and do are so funny and so relatable that they can get over in certain feuds. Like the League of Nations, when they feuded with the Vaudevillains, like who really cared about that? Who really cared about them versus the Vaudevillains? But the antics that they did in their promos, that's what made it, to me at least, that's what made it entertaining.
They also made me like Kofi Kingston wearing tights. I kind of did not like it.
They called back to Kofi Kingston going back to, they even said
the time machine segment.
Time machine segment.
Yeah. And that didn't get enough love.
Leave me in 2009. Yeah, didn't get that crowd.
He's like, we went too far back.
He was like, wait, leave me in 2009. That was my best year. Like, yo.
This was my best year.
Little did he know.
They can laugh at themselves. They can laugh at themselves and make something out of it. It's beautiful.
For people in the 90s.
Even when Xavier's little fiasco took place, and then they were looking at him backstage like,
listen, again, it just goes back to the thing of where they, first off, they came at, like, that group came at the right time. I mean, E, myself, People's Champ, Kid Ty, it's not, we dudes from Queens, New York, you know what I mean? Like, and you could see some black dude from New York and it's like dead ass, deep voice, thuggish, throwing up different gang signs. Nah, we like video games, we like chilling. Yeah, we'll say all that thugs. We're versatile, you know what I'm saying? And for that to basically be put at the forefront, we don't have to be serious all the time like the Nation of Domination. We don't have to be Flash Funk either. We could be everything all at once with just little hints of our own little liking. And the New Day basically presented that. So basically, whether it is the matches, whether it is the presentation, whether it is their social media presence, I feel like they've been pretty cool. But they went from, of course, Kofi, Xavier Woods, they went from SmackDown to Raw, and Raw is having their own premiere show this upcoming Monday night. leading up to Hell in a Cell, we saw how everything went down with, the Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre brawl and the dual fiend Alexa Bliss, Sister Abigail, and all those things that are going off on Monday Night Raw. How are we anticipating that turning out?
Quick question: are they showcasing the Asuka and Lana thing for next week, or
they're doing that? They're doing that. They're doing that next week, I believe.
Okay, so just a tad bit off topic. I don't like the fact that we're basically going into Hell in a Cell next week, and there is nothing on the card but the 3 cell matches. Nothing.
This is shades of 2013 where we had
and there is no storyline, and there's no storyline for anything else. Like the tag team championships, nothing. United States Championship, nothing. The Intercontinental Championship, you can put something there, but right now, nothing. And there's no really.
Well, here's the thing, and I may be the person who's lone in this. I remember AJ Styles mentioning this in regards to WrestleMania, but I thought it as it pertained to a lot of the pay-per-views. There's something about the pay-per-view schedule that is lost with not everyone needs to be on the card. And, with them only having 3 or whatever, shows, 3 whatever matches, Universal Champion, WWE Champion, whatever the case may be, is cool. Like, Intercontinental Champion could take a night off. I could be quite content with Sami Zayn just in a segment gloating about being a champion. I remember SummerSlam, I believe it was 2003, Christian was gloating about being, not gloating, but he was complaining about being on the card. And that was complete character work. That told me everything I needed to know about the Intercontinental division. John Cena, I believe, in the Royal Rumble 2004. He was in the Royal Rumble, but he didn't have a match. And he was talking about being a franchise player. All of those character moments did it for me more so than, I just need to throw him in a match. Because sometimes you don't necessarily need that. We may get filler. Most likely we'll get filler. But just for them to advertise the 3 cell matches, that's perfectly fine. Because guess what? 1 cell match could be like 5 minutes. Next cell match could be like 15 minutes. But the last match could be like Shawn Michaels Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels Triple H.
But to answer your question though, what I'm looking forward to Monday night, the ongoing union between the feud and between the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. I want to see where they take this, because now the question is, the Fiend never got a rematch for the Universal title that he lost. So he never really got a rematch, a one-on-one rematch at least. And now it's like, where do you place him now? Because you would assume this Drew and Randy feud is be all end all in the cell. You would assume this is it. And if Randy didn't win it in the ambulance match, he's not going to win it in Hell in a Cell. That's just my personal opinion. So, are you going to place the Fiend there? In that sense, are you going to place him there? I mean, Alexa's going to go after the women's title eventually. Mm-hmm. She's going to be inserted somewhere, whether it be when Charlotte comes back, whether it be while Asuka's still reigning, who knows? But where do you place the Fiend now? Because right now he's still hot, and with this, this new alliance, it's even more interesting now.
So you're intriguing me a little bit with this whole, because you're hinting at a Drew versus Fiend thing, and the only thing that I am hoping for, not even a match or anything, but every time the Fiend gets in contact with someone, there's a past self that is revisited. If I hear Broken Dreams, I'm crying. I'm crying.
But not only that, I want to see Drew just max out on the finishers, because you know how many claymores that he's gonna have to do to put the Fiend down. There's gonna be a lot of no cells.
If we get the past self, I want some Future Shock. I don't want no Claymore.
That's a fact.
I think they're gonna wait for him to go ultimate heel for him to do the Future Shock again as like his main thing, because the version he's been doing is like this quick snap Dean Ambrose type double arm DDT deal. But when I'm talking about like when you lean back like Fat Joe and just murder somebody with it, that's what I want to see.
But we're going into not to cut you off, Tyler. We're going into Survivor Series after this pay-per-view, so I would assume that they're probably gonna just start building this up. But the Fiend is gonna be on the back burner, like he's gonna be there right after Survivor Series.
I'm here for it. I'm here.
What you got, Ren? What you got?
Well, me, I mean, for Raw, like, it's a mixed bag because like everything that both like Raw officially has their roster going forward, probably for the next 6 months to a year, because you never know with the shakeups and everything. I do think Drew and Orton ends at Hell in a Cell.
Has to.
Because all signs point to there. I do feel like also Keith Lee and Braun will definitely have their little situation, the battle of the heavyweights. For Bray to make a splash on Raw, he has to go at Drew. So I'd have to agree with Big E. So for him, you have to make a big splash. You're not on Raw just to play with, I don't know, Bobby Lashley, who's basically embroiled in feud with Retribution. Mm-hmm. That's a current storyline. You're not going to go at anyone that basically intrigues you much yet, because Braun Strowman, as much as you're not finished with him yet, pun intended, him and Keith Lee got a situation going on, as Keith Lee continues to establish himself on Raw. Mm-hmm. Drew's the only person I can think of that he can basically go at. And I don't think people are quite underrating the fact that though Alexa may go for Asuka, also keep in mind there's also someone else that may be coming back for that division as well. And her name is Ronda Rousey, because he just started back training again. So that's also something that could be a factor. I'm not saying she's coming back soon, but she has been training recently to put the seeds of coming back.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what you just said. Then not only that, they still haven't really, the continuity hasn't been there with her and Nikki Cross. Like I want to see that.
Who also got moved to Raw.
So I want to see that first before I see Alexa go for a championship, because that just adds to her character.
Yeah, and she's not done. So her and Nikki Cross is basically not done by a long shot.
I'll say this much. Hopefully it works in that order, because next time I see Nikki Cross going after a title, she better win it. And it's kind of tough to see her go title for title. Kid tie.
I want Sheamus back on SmackDown. Let me just get that out the way. Got the goddamn shit. As much as I'm happy that he's on Raw, when I see Sheamus on SmackDown with the burr and the IC title is there, and he never gets to touch this fucking title, especially when you consider the fact that Bryan might win this shit back and we could have a rematch from all those years ago with the world title for a belt that actually matters. God damn it. God bless America. Point being, so Raw, here's some of the things I expect. I expect there to be, if we're going to get the ultimate collision between Braun and Keith Lee, I would like to see them bust the barricade into the LED fans. I would like to see that train wreck. Lana, armbar. I have nothing else to say about that. Just armbar. Just punch and just usurp her into the armbar. All of it, just armbar. In terms of Drew, I do think the Fiend thing will happen. I think what they might do with Alexa Bliss is have her be in multiple storylines at once, because she can do her own stuff as well as be one of, for lack of a better term, Bray's pawns, in the sense that I can see a situation where after the Hell in a Cell, Drew is, he's victorious, got his hands up in the air, he's beaten Orton for the third time, and then you hear the shrieking yell, like that little like crying noise, whatever that is. And, Alexa appears in front of Drew, and Drew still has his hands up with the title, and Alexa is looking at him just a certain way. And then the lights go out again, and Drew's not hurt. Like, as a way to kind of switch things up, Drew's not hurt, but Drew is still standing with his hands up, but the belt's gone. And you just see the Fiend on the top of the cell or at the top of the ramp with the belt in his hand, raising it above his head. And, Drew's looking up to see Bray. And then as he's turning around looking up, Alexa low blows him and he's on his knees. And all you just see is the back and forth of Drew in pain, having been low blowed. And, I almost said Big E. I don't know why Eric's in this cell, but having Bray Wyatt with the championship above his head kind of is like the symbolism of like, this is what your fate will be, me as champion and you suffering. So I feel like that's going to happen. I have a strange feeling we might see Bray Wyatt interact with the Hurt Business at some point. And that actually could work at some point, not just because Bray has a hurt hand and there is a Hurt Business, but I think that might happen somewhere down the line as well. Because the Hurt Business eventually has to move on from the U.S. title at some point if they're going to be collecting gold. So, I think the thing about Raw is that there's so much uncertainty, but in the same token, there's a lot of promise if they do it right. I still want to see Sheamus and Drew. I still think that Edge might tease his return, possibly in the cell, where Randy's just about to win, and you just hear, "You think you know me." Not even the whole theme, just "You think you know me," and then Claymore Country and Orton buckles off of the turnbuckle into a future shot. Okay, let me dream. But listen, it might happen. It could happen. Because we are on the road to WrestleMania. I think Edge is going to make a third Rumble appearance, a third surprise Rumble appearance, but this time we'll actually know it's coming. And I think there's a lot that Raw has in the tank that might make it feel like the new SmackDown for a bit if they do it right. So the only thing I'm guaranteeing tomorrow, armbar. But everything else, I hope it happens.
Lots of potential, especially, going in first week of Raw with the new rosters. So hopefully it's going to be very fantastic. Also,
Charlotte, forgot. The fact that Charlotte might also come back might explain the Hell in a Cell absence too.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit. Shouts out to, by the way, to NXT and of course AEW celebrating their 1-year anniversary over the course of this past Wednesday. A lot of people were kind of like, John Moxley winning over Lance Archer, and then now they see your boy. They see your boy whatchamacallit popping up for Full Gear. So that's basically going to be an interesting program in and of itself. But in any event, we're just going to table it for next week. But before we go, because we did touch on New Day real quick, I want everyone's if 1 to 2 sentences, match or moment stands out to you about the New Day. Start off with Big E. Got to, because Big E. Got to.
Man, one moment or one match. I gotta go with what I saw recently. I recently revisited the New Day versus the Shield at Survivor Series. I thought that was one of their best matches so far.
They should have won.
Top 5.
They should have fucking.
I almost thought they were gonna win at one point.
Side note. When I thought of the send off promo for the New Day, exactly the emotion that they thought that they were gonna get from the Shield, they got from the New Day. So that's another. If Xavier Woods wanted to give a little dig to someone on up, down, he could do that. So
should have fucking won, man.
Kid Ty
should have been me.
Shield. No. Go on to Randy. I'm still mad at the Shield.
People's Champ. Go ahead, man. Moment or match stood out to you New Day.
Moment? There's a lot of moments, but one that just popped into my head was 2016 when they shared the ring with The Rock. My GOAT, obviously. When they shared the ring with The Rock, because I remember when he came in, the whole prelude to going out, he came out and Rock was should have been you, and then the New Day came out.
Poor Big
and then Xavier was like, you didn't come back for the people, and then Biggie was like, you came back for the paycheck. And Rock was like, all right, enough huddling, you bitches, you bitches in a unicircle, and is that the third? Getting back in the ring, coming out.
Oh my God.
It's like Usos coming out, getting their ass whipped. Xavier didn't know what to do. Like it was just a great night. The fact that they were able to get one and make Rock break a little bit and smile when on the mic, it's a rarity.
That was the blackest thing on television that week.
It was a very good night. It was a memorable moment.
That's a fact. Kid Ty.
Ironically, Randy's moment proceed, I think it actually foreshadowed my favorite moment because I part of me wants to say Kofi win the championship, but I feel like that's kind of like universally one of our top 5 favorite moments, right? But I have to bring it up because you said the Usos, the rap battle on SmackDown.
DeMarco.
The rap all we needed were HB. We just needed historically black college sweatshirts like it was the 90s for that whole thing. Like that was one of the most entertaining moments of the decade. And I think for all the right and wrong reasons, it was great. Like even if you didn't understand all the lingo or what was going on, I just saw people entertained to hell. Like it was one of those like situations where you didn't even know what was going on, but you were smiling hard as hell because it was just that fun. It followed the SmackDown tradition of previous rap battles set by John Cena's Mark Wahlberg ass in 2004. It was fun. We got the real life mention of the Xavier Woods situation going rated R. There were bars between both sides. The Usos, which was also a proven moment for the Usos because a lot of fans were still trying to get acclimated to the whole Usos, especially when they were dressing like in sync for a couple of months. So the fact that the Usos got over on that too, it was just one of those, like, I know it's one of those moments that special in pro wrestling because you can go back to it and fans of all different types, serious, crazy, like enjoy the entertainment or they enjoy the sport, can just sit back and be like, yo, that was just hilarious. That was awesome. I'm happy I got to be there to experience that. It felt like an old school SmackDown moment, and it was part of one of the greatest tag team feuds in WWE history.
Period.
And Xavier dropped one of the best lines in that whole rap battle. I said, y'all should carry your bags for who? For Roman.
Which is so relevant right now.
It really is.
I want Roman to do what he did to Cena and rewind the tape and play that over, just so Jake can listen. And Wale, why are you here?
No.
And I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying, like, of all the things you would have expected in there, Wale was not one of them, and he added to it.
Yeah, it was 4th of July. It was just a coming moment. I would say. I don't know if my moment tops your moment, Ty or People's Champ, but the interactions with Chris Jericho, especially when Chris Jericho put the New Day on.
Oh, that was
don't do it.
He only was like 3 times.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going on the list.
Oh, that actually underrated moment. Xavier Woods always being hypnotized around Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
That shit was always hilarious and scary at the same time.
Oh my God. Like just a litany of moments. Of course, New Day, this is a pro New Day. What isn't at this point? But shouts out to them. Shouts out to, WWE putting that out there. Shouts out to all the wrestling in the week, doing business, doing wizard. We're going to be back with you on Tuesday. Going to be posting on Wednesday. You're going to catch us on episode 32 next week. So that's now. Golden Shot, Champ, Diamond Cutter, Kick Tie.
Keep it tight.
Yes, sir. And your uncle.
That is.